I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, January the 26th, and right on cue, the board tanked late in the week because we haven't had any fat cattle trade so far this week, and as it was building, if you watch me every day or very often at all, you knew that I didn't trust the board building, and nobody else did either. But you know, it was up all through the week, getting into Tuesday and Wednesday it was up, and then Thursday morning it was up strong, and maybe even a little bit stronger than everybody thought it could possibly be, and everybody thought we were just in a strong market. But I don't care if it's noon Friday, if you haven't had your significant fat cattle trade and the board's been up all week, you have to feel like it's going to tank right on cue, just in time for your packers to buy fat cattle. You notice none of that happened the few weeks that we had early week trade. It didn't seem to matter. It would almost make you think that they had something to do with that. And it may not be that. It may just be people knowing the ways of the world and figuring that when packers are in the face of buying fat cattle higher late in the week and everything's been up, then they feel like it's top heavy and they jump on it to go down. But you know, your commodities are not like your stock market that just continues to grow and grow and grow as people invest. Your commodities, you know, they mature and go off, and then you have to roll on to the future months, and your people that speculate in it just jump in and jump out, just looking to take advantage of the volatility, and the more they do that, the more volatile it becomes. But you look at the board on Thursday, April live cattle futures down $2.55 after being up big earlier in the day, to end the day at 122.60. February spot live cattle down nearly the limit all at once, down $2.95 to end the day at 122.47. March feeder cattle down $2.47 at 143.92. But your January, which is coming to fruit here, down just 30 cents at 147.85, but still at a premium to what your index levels are at. But haven't had any fat cattle trade to speak of all week. Talked to several guys that are in the business of buying fat cattle, and they thought it was going to be 125 at the least. That would have been $2 higher. But sure 125, maybe 126 or 7. Now with your spot board all the way back to 122.5, we may be lucky to hold steady and may in fact lose $1 or so. But you look at some auctions that were held on Wednesday, and the results come out here on Thursday. The Sioux Falls Regional up there in Worthing, South Dakota, had a pretty good fat cattle sale and heavier receipts, and selling most of their good finished steers and heifers from 124 to 128.25. Tama, Iowa's always had a good slaughter cattle auction. Their choice cattle from 123 to 129.50. You know, they don't play games with that. You know, in theory, you would have thought the Fed Cattle Exchange would have worked in the same way and get some competition in there, but not getting that done. Only had 500 this week and didn't have anything happen except for one pin PO'd at 123.75. But the reason that deal has not worked is fear of retaliation when you're trading out in the direct market, and you know, your feedlots. And another thing on that, if you've noticed, you see a lot of feedlots that typically sell 100% of their cattle to one packer, and they're slipping a pin in here and there just to make it look good or whatever. But you see that everybody was scared to put cattle on there in fear of retaliation. If they didn't get their cattle sold on there, then their packers wouldn't come to them with a bid, or maybe if that deal failed, then down the road they would be hard to trade with, and that's the whole reason that deal hasn't worked. And it doesn't matter if one of the founders of that Fed Cattle Exchange is going to be in charge of the biggest feeding outfit in the world. It's still not going to change anything. That's just the way it works. But your slaughter has been disappointing because of the blizzards up there early in the week. They are expecting a big Saturday, and that could help recover and may recover all of our needs, get up over 600,000, and that would be significant to catch back up from a near shutdown on Monday up in the northern plains. But your slaughter through Thursday was 434,000. That's 37,000 less than last week, but they can catch all that up in one day if they have a big Saturday, and 18,000 less than the same week a year ago. But you look at your actual slaughter information, it always comes out. Now we're coming out for the week ending January the 13th. Your actual dressed weights come out with steers at 896 pounds. We've been talking as we get into these cold spells when they happen that we are going to start losing some of that weight, and your steer dressed steer weights were significantly lower for the week that was reported on January 13th, 896 pounds, down 4 pounds from the previous week. But you look at the cold storage report to come out this week, it was fairly bullish. And another reason that you know guys just kept thinking that we were going to get more for fat cattle and everything was going to hold together, and then the board just goes up and down for no reason at all. But on your cold storage, total beef inventory at the end of the year was almost 14% less than the end of last year, the end of a previous year. And that is significant, and that is despite heavier production and lower exports. But your consumers, domestic consumers, are just consuming a lot of this meat, and everybody might say that they're a vegan, but the proof's in the pudding. We're getting back to eating a lot of beef around, and it's a good deal. But and your December was impressive, because usually your December does not take off of that cold storage like it did this past year, and like I said, we're consuming a lot of that beef, and things are looking pretty good. But just one strike of the wrist there and your board can take it all away in 1 week. But you look at your feeder market, real-time index late on Thursday was sitting at 146.74, down 74 cents, and your markets are just kind of leveled off. 2 weeks ago we took that big down plunge and then right back up last week, and then now everybody's pretty much leveled off. Most of that volatility was right in the center of the week on Wednesday, and now through Thursday we've pretty much leveled off, and we're back to where we started. But you look at some markets on Thursday. Pratt, Kansas had 4,700 head, firmed to $6 higher. They called it with market news. I thought that was a pretty favorable call, because if you just look at the raw data like we had on Cattle Market Central, it didn't look quite that good. If you look at the automated report on Cattle Market Central, there you see the heaviest weight group in the 8-weight steers. Over 1,300 head of 8-weight steers averaged 846 at 144.18, and that was actually 78 cents lower than the weighted average from the previous week. Another big Thursday sales, farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas, 4,200 head in the market there. As far as on Cattle Market Central, appeared to be about steady to $3 lower. But let's look at your cattle on feed estimates for the report that's coming out here on Friday. I know I'm very critical of the cattle on feed analysts that estimate this report, and I will continue to be. If they would happen to notch one of these reports, I'll be the first to give them credit. But it's fun for me to be able to nitpick them to death as they try to do their job. But what they've got estimated on your January 1st inventories on feed, everybody knows that these feedlots are full to the brim. They can't stand any more cattle. We are seeing some good feeder demand, but it's mostly from farmer feeders in the northern plains. The big commercial feedlots just don't have much room in them. They're just hand to mouth as far as emptying a pen and filling it back up. But they've got inventories January 1st pegged at 107.7%, and that's probably going to be pretty close. I think they're light on the placements once again. They did go pretty close to what your auction receipts were for the month of December there, and a little bit lower than that. and they've got it pegged at 96.9% or 97%. I just think you have to look back, and if you look at your inventory report, it said that calves born in the first half of 2017 were 4% heavier than they were the previous year, and a lot of those cattle coming in, and it's just, we've just got more calves, and analysts have refused to acknowledge how much bigger the calf crop is or was this past year, and those cattle are coming on to feed, and it's just, it's adding up. And so I would be very, very surprised to see that number come in less than 100%, although I don't think it's going to be well over 100%, because the way that the holidays were landing and the way things were working out through December, we did see lighter auction receipts than we did the same time a year ago. But still, I think it would be very surprising to see placements at less than 100%, although they have them pegged at 97%. And they've got kind of a disparage in the marketing's figure, which normally they have it pegged. USDA tells you exactly how many cattle are slaughtered every day, but they've got a wide spread in their guesses there, and they've got it averaged at 98.6%, but that might be pretty close, although you look how well we've cleaned up all this meat at the end of last year. And if you look at your cold storage report and everything, we were making a lot of cattle there, and used them up, so we had to market them somehow. But anyway, you look at some individual quotes on feeder cattle late in the week, or on Thursday here. Salina, Kansas, Farmers and Ranchers Livestock at noon on Thursday had 66 head of steer calves, weighed 589 pounds at 187.50. You look down in Pratt at 1:20 in the afternoon on Thursday. They had some pretty attractive, thinner flesh kind of steers. 57 of them weighed 868 pounds, bring 150 1/4. That's your feeder flash for Friday.